some things never change. A mother just tries to get a good night's sleep. But peace and quiet is hard to come by. What was once a mother's nest is now part of this Portuguese cliff. This is the Lourinhã fossil field, the setting for one of the most amazing discoveries of the dinosaur revolution.
How do we know what dinosaurs lived with each other? Well, we do it by the most simple way you can imagine. We find what dinosaurs died with each other. We find fossil fields where we find the skeletons of different species that lived and wind up dying together. And the sites in Portugal are an example of that.
Really nice theropod tooth.
Here, paleontologists have extracted a huge number of fossils from an incredible variety of creatures.
It's opened a new window onto the ecosystem that existed 150 million years ago.
We have very small carnivores, mid-sized carnivores, and giant carnivores. We have little herbivores, mid-sized herbivores, and truly giant herbivores.
The diversity is amazing, but not only on bones. We have eggs, embryos, the baby dinosaurs. It's a good window to see into the Jurassic world.
How did these creatures live? And why do they live here together? There may be an answer. What is now Portugal was once a huge island, subject to periods of drought. Here, some of the largest creatures ever to walk on land are making a seasonal migration in search of food. The watering hole draws everyone together. Prey and predator. The Allosaurus is the lion of the Jurassic, which would make this 6-month-old a cub. And after a sleepless night, a tired mother just wants breakfast over with. Maternal instinct only goes so far in the Jurassic. There is no reason for this Allosaurus mother to think her injured baby will survive. There are other young to protect, and another Jurassic night is coming. Could an Allosaurus survive an injury, like having his jawbone shattered? The dinosaur revolution has given us an answer. Yes.
We have these new technologies that we're applying to dinosaurs. Previously, the only way to look inside a fossil was to break it open and actually physically look. Now we don't need to do that.
In 1883, a fossil was discovered in the United States. It was so deteriorated, nobody even knew what species it was from. But recently, under scientific scrutiny, one mystery was solved. The fossil was the damaged jawbone of an Allosaurus. Further analysis revealed another surprise. The loss of teeth and bone, and the distortion of the jaw, showed that the Allosaurus lived long enough for the wound to heal. Months, perhaps years, after it was wounded. How could a creature survive such a catastrophic injury?
If you were an injured Allosaurus, one that can't hunt normally, what's going to be the best place to find food? Well, that place is going to be where everyone else gathers and where they might not suspect you're looking at them. For example, the watering hole.
Because you've got your meals coming to you. All animals have to drink, and so they come down to the water, and that provides lots of opportunities to, maybe get a quick meal out of the situation.
A watering hole is more than a refuge. It is a battleground, with winners, losers, and a wide range of other creatures caught in the middle, when the revolution continues. A young Allosaur has learned a terrible lesson. The balance of Jurassic power does not always favor the predator. Abandoned by his mother, he is now on his own. The Lourinhã fossil field reveals a fantastic story of many different creatures congregating over many millennia in this one special place. The huge island of Portugal was home to an astonishing variety of unique creatures, all of whom would have been drawn to the watering hole.
Everyone comes down here, from tiny flyers like Rhamphorhynchus to gigantic Lusotitan. Predators side by side, whether it's tiny Ornitholestes, to giant Allosaurus, to tremendous Torvosaurus. And here we can see the cycle of life, and ultimately, like for all living creatures, death.
Sometimes, one survives by just learning how to watch and wait. A watering hole is the perfect place for an ambush predator like him. While he waits for a new dinner, the remains of his last meal serve as a special dish for another. It is a pterosaur, a bizarre flying cousin to the dinosaur. Rhamphorhynchus normally prefers fish, but this one looks for extra treats in the jaws of a giant. The Dinosaurs have arrived on their seasonal migration. An old enemy returns. The laws of the jungle have not changed in 150 million years. The young, the weak, the sick, and the old are always the easiest pickings for a predator. Dinosaur can survive an injured tail. But no fight is over until it's over. Allosaurus may think he is king of his world, but he's about to find out there's a new killer in town. No matter how strange the cast of Jurassic characters seem, they all share a need with every creature on Earth: water. And that brings them all together, here.
Finding a place where so many dinosaurs come together is amazing, because from this spot, we can tie together so many stories: the life of giants and the life of small creatures.
Each creature has their own place in the food chain and around the watering hole. Occupying a mid-level link in the food chain, Ornitholestes is too small to compete with top-shelf predators like Allosaurus. Coming up with inventive ways to survive. Eating anything it could catch is one option. Climbing with 2.5-inch claws is another. just when things seem to be going Allosaurus's way, life has a way of handing out a surprise. When two predators fight over the same real estate, the winners and losers may surprise everyone. When the revolution continues. The Lorena fossil field conclusively shows that Allosaurus and a larger predator were in the same place, possibly at the same time. This would present a big problem for the smaller creature.
Picture yourself as Allosaurus. You've grown up your life thinking that you are the top dog, and then a bigger bruiser shows up, Torvosaurus. Not as fast as you, sure. Probably not as smart as you, but it's bigger and it's heavier. Life's not going to be so good for an Allosaurus then. Suddenly, the Allosaurus is on the menu.
A new day at the watering hole. A family of Miragaias stopped by for a drink. As they are encrusted with defensive spikes, Allosaurus would just as soon leave them alone. Despite the threat of predators, there is safety in numbers. This kind of behavior is called a threat display. Modern animals do it too. The goal is intimidation. At least in theory. But if the target is not threatened, options are limited. There's a new king of this hill. When the revolution continues, some of the biggest creatures ever to walk the earth come to town. A visit that will have some unintended consequences. Fossils embedded in this Portuguese cliff indicate that Torvosaurus and Allosaurus may have crossed paths. When they met, it would not have been a fair fight. Allosaurus was a middleweight, weighing in between 1.5 to 2 tons. Torvosaurus was a serious heavyweight, weighing in between 3 and 3.5 tons. The odds were not in the Allosaurus's favor, but winning isn't always about size. It's a familiar scene. Predator and prey. A noisy and brash approach ruins the kill. Torvosaurus has not learned the rules of the watering hole. He almost steps on a Miragaya baby. Big mistake. A truce, however brief, keeps the peace, for the moment. But on the horizon, some giant strangers are about to turn the watering hole upside down when the revolution continues. Like today's Serengeti, Jurassic Portugal saw extremes of wet and dry. And when it gets dry, the watering hole turns into a pit of baked mud. A Titan. Emphasis on Titan. At 30 tons and 60 feet tall, they dwarf even the giant Dinosaur. Time to move on. Instinct and necessity tell the Lusititans that food and water are just down the migration road. They will find it, or die trying. A hard life as a predator has taught our Allosaurus a few key things. How to watch, how to kill. But mostly, how to wait. And wait. What happens now? Well, we know one thing. 150 million years later, this watering hole will be a fossil field in Portugal.
Since the days of the very first paleontologists, speculation and imagination played a really important role. After all, it took a bit of creative genius to look at fossils pulled up from the ground and say, these are the remains of a once living thing. And that spark, that insight, then allowed scientists to begin to compare these bones to other living animals, to fill in the gaps with new discoveries. If we don't use imagination, we'll never come up with new techniques and new methods to unravel the world of the dinosaurs.
Some of these techniques can go beyond imagination into physical science. We've seen how the cycle of life in the Jurassic was also an arms race. Size, skill, and perhaps luck meant dominance for a predator. And the prey, too, had weapons at their disposal. At first glance, a lumbering sauropod was at a disadvantage, for size isn't everything. But that is where their tail comes in.
Certainly it would have been useful as a weapon one way or another, whether they're attempting to whip it or simply club them over the head with it. Anything that's flexible and weighs a lot and can transfer kinetic energy to your enemy is going to come in handy in a pinch if you're being attacked.
Although this may seem surprising, it is based on some revolutionary new science. Science which we tested.
So we've created a little experiment, sort of a half-scale tail, and it's going to swing and hit a jawbone, and we're going to see just what kind of damage it could do.
And 3, 2, 1.
That completely exceeded my expectations. That jaw was devastated. Even at this low speed, it was clocked to be at about 85 miles an hour. The tail just completely exploded it. At this speed, when the tail hit, it looks like a baseball bat hitting. The whole thing just kind of went like just like that. I'm curious if you crank this thing up, I'm really curious to see if that is affected at all.
Okay, everybody, behind the plexi. Set. And 3, 2, 1. Significantly. All right. Let's play that back.
You could really see the tail start to do the classic bullwhip action. It kind of curved and snapped out and then continued. And that transfer of energy just bam, right to the end of that tail. It only went 115 miles an hour, which is still a conservative estimate. This blowed up real good.
We know much more now about dinosaurs than we knew yesterday. But it seems we can never know enough.
When I grew up, dinosaurs were slow, dim-witted, not very exciting, dull-looking animals. And what that means is there are vistas that have yet to be even opened in the world of understanding dinosaurs. So the dinosaur renaissance is still exploding, and our knowledge of dinosaurs and the details of what they actually look like will increase exponentially even in the next 10 to 20 years.
The dinosaur revolution is just beginning.